You want to meet new people, but talking to strangers feels scary and hard. You can learn some easy ways to start, so making friends gets much easier. Hi, my name is Michael, and I'm happy to be here with you today. Let me tell you a story about networking for success. Jake wakes up early on Monday morning, feeling a bit nervous. He has an important meeting at his new job, and he wants to make a good impression. He puts on his best shirt, grabs a coffee, and leaves his apartment with a deep breath. The city is busy, and people are rushing everywhere, but Jake walks slowly, thinking about what he will say. At the office, Jake sees many new faces. Some people are talking in small groups, laughing and sharing stories about their weekends. Jake feels shy, but he knows it is important to meet new people, so he walks over to a group near the coffee machine. He smiles and says hello, and one woman, Sarah, smiles back and asks him about his weekend. Jake starts talking with Sarah and her friends, and soon he feels more comfortable. They share simple stories, like what they did on Sunday or their favorite places to eat lunch. And then here's the interesting part. Jake realizes that just talking with people helps him feel more confident. He doesn't know everyone yet, but now he has 2 new friends at work. The next day, Jake sees Sarah and her friends in the break room. He smiles and says hello, and they invite him to sit with them. This time, Jake brings his own lunch so he feels more relaxed and ready to chat. They ask him about his favorite music, and Jake tells them he likes rock and pop. It's a simple moment, but it feels good to share something personal. Later, Jake gets an email from his manager about a big project. He feels a little nervous because he doesn't know where to start, but then he remembers Sarah works on a similar project. So one day, after lunch, he walks over to her desk and asks if she has any advice. Sarah gives him a few helpful tips and shows him some files he can use. Jake feels grateful, and he realizes that making friends at work is not just about talking, it also helps him do his job better. After that, Jake starts to talk to more people in the office. Sometimes he just says good morning, and sometimes he asks small questions about work. Each time, it gets a little easier. He doesn't feel shy now, because he knows that everyone likes to help and share their own stories. One day, Jake sees Sarah making coffee in the kitchen. He decides to join her and starts a simple conversation. He asks her about her weekend, and Sarah smiles, telling him about her favorite hiking spot. Jake listens carefully, and he laughs when Sarah talks about getting lost on the trail. This small talk feels easy, and Jake feels more comfortable every minute. Later, Jake sits with Tom during lunch. Tom is working on a big project, so Jake asks if he can help. Tom is happy to explain what he is doing, and he even shows Jake some new things on the computer. Jake learns a lot from Tom, and he feels proud, because now he can help other people too. This makes Jake feel like part of the team. And here's the interesting part. After a few weeks, Jake is not just talking to people, he is also sharing his own ideas. Sometimes, his team even uses his suggestions in their work. Jake feels more confident, and he knows that making connections at work can really help him grow. Now, he looks forward to each day, because every day brings a new chance to learn and connect. One day, Jake hears about a small meeting happening in the office kitchen. Some people from another department are talking about a new project, so he decides to join them for coffee. At first, he just listens, but then he asks a few questions about their work. The others seem happy to explain, and they even ask Jake about his own projects. It feels good to be part of the conversation. After that meeting, Jake gets an email from Sarah, one of the people he met in the kitchen. She invites him to join their project for a week, just to see how things work in their team. Jake feels a little nervous, but he says yes because it is a great chance to learn something new. He spends the next week working with Sarah's team, and he learns different ways to solve problems. It is a busy week, but Jake feels excited every day. By the end of the week, Jake has made a few new friends at work. He realizes that networking is not just about business. It is also about helping each other and sharing good ideas. Now, when Jake walks into the office, he smiles and says hello to people from different teams. He feels like he is really part of something bigger, and that makes his work much more interesting. One morning, Jake hears that his company is planning a small event after work. Some people are a little nervous about going, but Jake feels excited this time. He remembers how much better he feels when he talks to others, so he decides to go and join the event. That's when he arrives, he sees some familiar faces, and he also notices a few new people. He takes a deep breath and walks over to say hello. At the event, Jake meets Sarah, who works in a different department. She is a little shy, but Jake starts a simple conversation about the food and the music. Soon, they are laughing together about a funny story from work. Jake feels happy because he is connecting with someone new, and Sarah seems more relaxed too. It feels good to share a nice moment after a busy day. As the evening goes on, Jake finds it easier to talk to more people. He learns that Tom, another coworker, knows a lot about a project Jake is working on. Tom gives him a helpful tip, and Jake feels thankful for the advice. He starts to see that each new connection can bring something special, and he is glad he took the chance to talk to others. Jake decides to step outside for some fresh air, and he notices Sarah standing alone near the entrance. She looks a bit nervous, just like Jake did at the start of the evening. He remembers how hard it was for him, so he walks over and says hello. Sarah smiles, and they start a simple conversation about their favorite music. It feels nice to help someone else feel comfortable. After a few minutes, Sarah shares that she is new to the company and does not know many people yet. Jake listens and nods because he understands what that feels like. He tells her about his own experience at his first company event. Sarah laughs at his story, and they both relax a little more. It is a small moment, but it makes a difference. Later, as Jake heads back inside, he feels more confident than before. He realizes that networking is not just about getting help or advice, but also about giving support to others. Meeting new people can be scary at first, but now he knows it can also lead to good friendships. And then here's the interesting part. Jake is already looking forward to the next event. A few days later, Jake gets a message from Sarah, one of the people he met at the event. She asks if he wants to join her for coffee and talk more about their work. Jake feels surprised, but he is also happy because he remembers their nice conversation. He agrees, and they meet at a small cafe after work. The place is quiet, so they can talk easily. While they sit together, Jake listens as Sarah shares her ideas about a new project. She seems excited, and Jake feels comfortable sharing his thoughts too. He gives her a few simple suggestions, and she smiles, saying his ideas are helpful. For a moment, Jake feels proud because he is not only learning from others, but also helping them. It feels good to be part of something, even if it is just a friendly chat over coffee. After their meeting, Jake walks home with a smile. He thinks about how different he felt just a week ago, when he was nervous about meeting new people. Now he sees that every small conversation can be important, and every person can teach him something new. He feels excited to keep connecting with others, one step at a time. The next morning, Jake decides to visit a local coffee shop before work. He stands in line, looking around, and sees a woman reading a book about business. He remembers what he learned, so he takes a deep breath and says hello. The woman looks up and smiles, and soon they start talking about the book she is reading. It feels easy, not scary like before. As they talk, Jake learns that her name is Lisa and she works at a company nearby. She shares some advice about looking for new job opportunities and tells him about a small event happening later in the week. Jake listens carefully, feeling thankful for this new connection. He realizes that simple moments, like talking in a coffee shop, can really help him grow. After their chat, Jake walks to work with a new sense of confidence. He knows he can meet new people if he just tries, even in small ways. Every time he starts a conversation, he feels a little braver. And then now he is looking forward to the event Lisa mentioned, wondering who he might meet next. The evening of the event arrives, and Jake feels a bit nervous as he stands outside the building. He takes a deep breath, then steps inside and sees a room full of people talking and laughing. The lights are bright, and there is music playing softly, so it feels friendly. Jake spots Lisa near the snack table, and she waves him over with a big smile. Lisa introduces Jake to Sarah, who works at a different company in the city. Sarah asks Jake about his job, and he tells her about his work in marketing. At first, Jake feels shy, but Sarah listens and nods, which helps him relax. They laugh about a funny story from Sarah's office, and Jake realizes it's easier to talk than he thought. And here's the interesting part. Sarah introduces Jake to her friend David, who is looking for someone to help with a new project. David seems excited to meet Jake, and they start talking about ideas right away. Jake feels surprised because he never expected to find a new opportunity just by showing up and saying hello. He leaves the event with a big smile, thinking about all the new people he met. The next morning, Jake wakes up early, feeling excited about his meeting with David. He makes some coffee and thinks about the ideas they talked about last night. Jake wants to make a good impression, so he writes down a few notes and plans what he will say. He feels a little nervous, but he knows this is a great chance. When Jake arrives at the cafe, David is already there, waiting at a small table near the window. They shake hands and start talking about the project. Jake listens carefully, asking questions and sharing his thoughts. The conversation feels easy, and David seems happy with Jake's ideas. For a moment, Jake forgets about his nerves. And then, something special happens. David offers Jake a small role on the team to start. Jake can't believe it, because just 2 days ago, he didn't even know anyone at the event. He feels proud, and he remembers how important it was to talk to new people, even when it felt a little scary. This small win gives Jake more confidence for the future. Jake starts his first day with David's team, and he feels a little nervous. The office is full of new faces, and he doesn't know what to expect. But honestly, when he sits down at his desk, one of the team members, Sarah, smiles and says hello. That small welcome helps Jake relax, and he starts to feel like he belongs. During lunch, Sarah invites Jake to join her and a few others in the break room. They talk about simple things, like their favorite foods and music, and Jake laughs at a funny story Tom tells. It's not a big meeting or a serious conversation, but it helps everyone get to know each other better. Jake is surprised at how friendly everyone is, and he feels happy to be part of the group. Later that afternoon, Jake works on a small project with Tom. They share ideas, and Tom shows Jake a few tricks to make the job easier. Jake listens and learns, and he even gives Tom a suggestion that works well. By the end of the day, Jake feels proud because he is not just part of the team, he is helping the team too. The next morning, Jake arrives at work a little earlier than usual. He grabs a coffee and sees Sarah in the break room, looking a bit worried. She has a big meeting soon, but her computer is not working right. Jake offers to help, and together they fix the problem before her meeting starts. Sarah smiles and thanks Jake, and he feels good because he can help others, not just do his own work. Later, during lunch, Jake sits with Sarah and Tom at the same table. They talk about their weekend plans and laugh about a funny story Tom tells. Jake feels more relaxed now because he knows his coworkers a little better. He learns that Sarah likes to run in the park and Tom enjoys cooking at home. The lunch break feels short, but Jake is happy because he is making friends at work. And then, in the afternoon, Jake gets an email from his boss, Emma. She asks if he can help with a new project next week because she heard good things from Tom and Sarah. Jake is surprised but also excited because his hard work is getting noticed. He smiles to himself, ready for the new challenge ahead. That evening, Jake goes to a small networking event at a local cafe. He feels a little nervous at first, but he remembers how Tom and Sarah helped him before. He sees a group of people talking near the window, so he takes a breath and walks over. One woman, Lisa, smiles and asks him about his job. Jake tells her about the new project, and she nods, interested. As they talk, Jake learns that Lisa works in a different company, but her team does similar work. She shares some advice about starting new projects and says it is important to ask questions when you do not understand something. Jake listens carefully because he knows he will need help next week. He thanks Lisa for her advice, and they exchange phone numbers before she leaves. He feels more confident now, knowing he has someone new to ask for help. On his way home, Jake thinks about the day. He feels proud because he tried something new and met someone helpful. The city lights are bright, and Jake smiles as he walks down the street. He cannot wait to tell Tom and Sarah about his new connection tomorrow. The next morning, Jake wakes up early, feeling excited. He grabs his phone and sends a quick message to Tom and Sarah, asking them to meet at their favorite coffee shop. The smell of fresh coffee fills the air when they arrive, and Jake can't stop smiling. He starts telling them about the event, sharing every detail about meeting Lisa and how she offered to help him. Tom listens carefully, nodding as Jake talks about his experience. Sarah seems surprised because Jake usually feels shy in big groups. She says, "That's amazing, Jake. You really did something brave." Jake laughs, a little embarrassed, but he feels proud again. He tells them that Lisa invited him to another event next week, and he wants them to come too. Tom and Sarah look at each other, then they both agree to join. They say it sounds like a good chance to meet new people and learn more. Jake feels happy because now he is not alone, and his friends will be there with him. The three friends finish their coffee, talking about their plans and what they will wear to the next event. Thank you for listening, and remember, meeting new people can help you grow. Networking gets easier with practice, so keep going.